this Carron Phillips, the Deadspin writer, that went after what we now know to be a 5-year-old little boy. I believe his name is Holden Armenta. His grandfather is actually a Native American. This kid has Native American blood in him. The Cherokee tribe or something like that his grandfather's from. This Carron Phillips slandered this kid, smeared this kid, and other people jumped on board. I'm not picking on people. I'm just calling it out and just trying to explain to you about this corporate media deal and how bandwagon and how dishonest and how just irresponsible, how unfair it is. But I want to play it. Here's Dan Le Batard, I think it's SOT number 4, talking about this Chiefs kid.
So, Pablo, when you see immediately last night, the right picks up sue Deadspin. Let's bankrupt them like Gawker, because a 5-year-old kid at a game has been dressed in face paint and he is wearing Native American gear. He's at a Chiefs game. Half of his face is red, half of his face is black. He should be punished because he's wearing blackface and you're only seeing half of his face. And then you see, no, there's also red face. And the right has picked this up and said, sue Deadspin, bankrupt Deadspin. And I can't help but laugh at the center of this. I can't help but laugh somehow at the idea of they want him sued for one racism while the kid is still in full racist garb. The only part of him that's not intentionally kind of racist is the black part. The rest is team colors, and he's going for just being a fan. But the racism is already in there, just not the kind that the right is picking up and flogging Deadspin with over a 5-year-old kid. Like, the stupidity of this is remarkable.
5-year-old kid whose grandfather's Native American. He's really being racist. There's video of the kid doing the chop. Chiefs players, black players see him doing this. Dan, what are you doing? You're being offended for black people or for Native American. It's all a gimmick. It's a 5-year-old kid. Leave the kid alone. Deadspin and their history of unfairly smearing people and destroying, and Dan knows. Again, I mean, when I bring this part up, it'll sound personal because this wasn't a part of my original thought, but just listening to him talk, I was sitting there like, Dan knows that, like, when Tommy Craggs was running Deadspin, they took that little dude, Greg Howard, that was writing all those smear pieces on me, and Tommy Craggs and I think Tim Marchman, I think, went into a story that Greg Howard wrote. Greg Howard was a black dude, and went into his story and rewrote it and had Greg Howard write that, yeah, Jason Whitlock's basically calling RG3 a nigger. This was in a Deadspin story. And Greg Howard copped to me in writing emails that at that time I was friends with Le Batard, and I showed him this, like, I can't believe this. He copped to me in writing that Tommy Craggs and Tim Marchman wrote that, injected it into Greg Howard's story. But Deadspin, those guys, they have no history of racism. I mean, just stop it. This whole here's with Carron Phillips. He's deleted his tweets where he had doubled down on the criticism of this kid, and I'm tying it all together because from Deion Sanders to Carron Phillips to Colin Cowherd to Dan Le Batard, I never hear any of these guys, hey, you know what? I was wrong. Let me walk that back. I watched Dan Le Batard let his minions try to savage Michelle Tafoya. It was ignorant and stupid and cowardly. You bring on someone as accomplished and as high profile as Michelle Tafoya, and then you let a little clownish minions attack her, and you're not man enough to stop them in real time or afterwards to even come out and say, you know what, that was some clownish, buffoonish stuff, blah. Yeah, he soft pedaled and said like it wasn't a good look. But any of these guys just copying and taking responsibility, like, hey, I was wrong here. And again, that's all you, because I do it all the time. And I'm not trying to put myself on a pedestal, but I'm just saying, get in a real space where you can admit your mistakes. I remember, I still make fun of myself and did for several years. I got all excited about Carson Wentz his rookie year, and I can remember Eric Mangini like, man, pump the brakes. Are you kidding me? We haven't, blah, blah. And we used to go back and forth, and then when Eric Mangini, it got to be proven like he was 1,000% right, I used to clown myself and acknowledge, like, boy, I made a fool out of myself, and Eric Mangini called me out. These guys never do this. They never hold themselves responsible. They and again, it's just even like what I said about Cowherd and Russell Westbrook. I was one of those people that I wasn't over the top in celebration of Westbrook, but I didn't see what Cowherd could see. But I still celebrated Cowherd for being right, and I was like, man, I wish I had blah blah blah. I just never all these Deion worshipers had to say I was like, man, I look silly on that, and this Deion thing's not going to work, but can't walk it back. You smear a little 5-year-old kid, find out that his grandfather's Native American. You know dang well this 5-year-old kid isn't out here trying to be racist. Just walk it back. Just, I'm sorry, I screwed that one up. But that's not what any of these guys do. And again, that's where I sit there. I want to be careful. I got different demands than them. They have different demands than I do. But I don't define success the way that they define success. There's for that financial success that they're chasing, there are lies that have to be told. There are people that have to be unfairly smeared. 5-year-old kids. You can say, do I attack Stephen A. Smith and Shannon Sharp, grown men my age who are making millions of dollars? That's all in the game, yo. 5-year-old kid? Help us grow the Fearless Army. Pound that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with all of your fearless friends.